All right, and we are back. Right before that short break, Chris, you were telling us what occurred. You mentioned you were unable to pay. What was it? A moving violation or a parking
It
violation?
was it was for not paying a fare for the light rail system here in Denver, and it
Oh,
was
gotcha.
just a. It was in 2007. It was I'd gotten a ticket, never paid the ticket. I had moved away, and so I'd forgotten about it, and I had a warrant. It was a $200 failure to appear warrant, and so the Denver police had arrested me um, at my place of work. They had put me in handcuffs, my hands behind my back, and I sat in an executive boardroom uh, in the back offices of where I work for about an hour and a half with a Denver Police Department detective. His name was Detective Duff, I believe, and he was a really nice guy. Just chit chatted a little bit here and there about small talk about my life, nothing really big. And like I said, I was there for about an hour and a half. And um, when he got called and he got called off, and so he left the room, and in walks two other plainclothes officers who immediately identify themselves as the FBI. One shows his badge, the other does not, that I recall. All I recall of their names are Agent Ryan and Agent Matt. And they said, Mr. Custer, we need to talk to you. We've gotten red flags surrounding your name. We know you're an activist. We know you're involved with cannabis activism. We know you're involved with We Are Change. We know you're heavily active in social media. And we had received red flags on social media about you. And that we hear that you might be the lunatic fringe. And they used those words, the lunatic fringe. And they said, we're concerned you're the lunatic fringe everyone is worried about. And I almost started crying immediately. I'm just like, whoa, this is insane. And
I mean, how far did you think this would go? I mean, at this point, did you start to think, hey, I might be, quote, disappeared?
right away. But I didn't think they'd disappear me where I work. Um, and plus, they didn't seem like they were gonna take me away at any time. They just think that I know I know things that are going to happen, that they think is going to happen. They think that something violent is going to happen, and that's basically is what they said, is that they think that I would know if something violent was going to happen.
So
And
you're a clairvoyant. You're again for violence, right?
yeah, right. No, it's because of that I'm so active on social media that
Right, right.
that this is what they said, is that I'm very active in social media. I see a lot of things. I talk about a lot of things. I have a lot of followers. I follow a lot of people, through various different platforms. And but them saying that they thought that I was going to hurt somebody just was like, it blew my mind, because anybody who knows me knows that I'm a peaceful person. I am angry. I'm an angry American. I'll admit that. But if you're not angry, you're not paying attention, is what I say. If you're not angry, you're not
Exactly
really paying
right.
attention.
The
Uh,
passion to uphold, the liberty we have left is construed by the masses to be that we are just, full of aggression and must incite violence. I mean, it's ridiculous.
right. Yeah, we don't need to incite violence. David Icke said that the other day. There's so many of us that if we were able to, show the love and show the peace, the people around us who we are trying to wake up will slowly wake up, and then there will be enough of us that we will not have to do anything violent at all. That we just stop participating in their system.
Exactly. And many people who are listening now know that this quote movement is greatly expanding. And that's part of the reason I wanted you on as a guest tonight, because I had another friend who's active in social media. I'll have them nameless at this time, but they were approached and had the Fed show up at his house, pretending to be questioning, looking for information on their neighbor for a job interview. Wanted to know, did this person, lack confidence in their government? Just crazy questions that not be normal HR background check. And then he ended up finding out that the feds had showed up at family members' homes. And this individual was scared and obviously could tell that there's people on his property at night. He saw flashlights and was very concerned. So, do you have any advice for anyone who goes through a similar instance where even though you did fail to pay the fare, I mean, that's very minimal. That's in a way a victimless crime. Yes, there's lost revenue, but I mean, there's worse things going on in the world. So do you have a recommendation for people? I know you immediately put out a video, and I thought that to be just great. And I also shared that because I feel if you come forward, you're less likely to kind of disappear without having anyone kind of gather resources for you in the event that you need legal assistance. So what is some advice that you might give other people in a similar situation?
Don't be afraid. Don't give in to the fear, because that's all they're trying to do is get you scared. I suggest doing something similar like I did, making a video about your experience, talking about it openly. Because if you are talking about the government and what they're doing, and the wrong that they're doing, there's just so much wrong that they're doing. If you're openly talking about it and they come to you, that's just proving you right. And that's all it did for me. It just proved me right about what was going on, what I was talking about. Because obviously I poked the bear, and they didn't like it, and that's okay. I'm not going to stop ever.
And that is exactly commendable. A lot of people know my story also as a whistleblower for a completely different issue related to chemtrails, right. But a lot of people know me as an outspoken chemtrail activist.
Right.
But I guess if you really look at the definition of a whistleblower, that seems to be the debate amongst a lot of the trolls. And the definition of a whistleblower is basically anyone who comes forward with information that is usually negative in nature in the hopes to stop it from further occurring. And that transitioned into something else I wanted your opinion on. As you can see what happened to you, obviously you were being monitored, you were under a microscope, as are many other activists. Right. I recently read an article you had written on wearechangecolorado.org. I believe it was earlier today. So what is your opinion with the whole NSA whistleblower, Mr. Snowden?
I think he's a hero. Like, the dude is really, he gave up a lot. Like, he gave up $200,000 a year, a home in Hawaii, a girlfriend. I don't know if she's on the run with him. I doubt he took her with her. If he's as a commendable person as he is, he seems to be, he wouldn't take that a person with him like that on this journey that he's on, because he's on the run from the New World Order because he leaked. The NSA is listening to this conversation right now. They have it recorded.
I like to give shout outs every now and then on social media.
Yeah. I mean, they're listening right now. I was talking to another cannabis activist friend, Jason Love, and he's writing hemp bills here in Colorado. Him and I were on the phone, and our call got dropped like 10 times in a row.
Well, speaking of drop calls, we do have a short break right here. When we come back, I'll share some stories of mine about what you just mentioned with the tap call. So we'll be right back.
Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com. Hi, this is Jeff Rentz. Royal Raymond Rife was without question the most gifted medical scientific genius of our age. He discovered that most disease-related microbes die quickly when exposed to their own specialized resonant radio frequencies. The BCX 411 Rife-type frequency instrument has received the highest praise on several continents for its precision, simplicity of operation, and successful research experiment. The BCX, with its comprehensive manual, allows you to select the frequencies you wish to experiment with for the length of time you want to run them. The BCX handheld plasma ray tubes and RF radio carrier wave, like Rife used, are the absolute state-of-the-art in Rife frequency research. For full information and pictures, take the New Earth link at the top of Rents.com. Settle for nothing but the best in Rife research with the BCX 411. Again, just take the New Earth link at the top left corner of Rents.com.
Break, we'll go ahead and I'll discuss with you my view on Big Pharma and, again, the use of marijuana. Chris, there?
Yes, I am.
I believe we're on a break. Maybe we're not. I guess we're live. Sorry for that, folks. This is my first go-around getting used to the music going in and out. But again, I had a family member who was shoved full of different drugs for ADHD and kind of dabbled in smoking of marijuana and went from being a D student to a straight A student. And for this person, it made them completely more productive, able to concentrate versus these drugs that just paralyzed the mind.
Well, and another thing is that people don't realize is there's different strains of marijuana, and you have indicas and sativas, and you have hybrids, and different strains do different things, and they make you feel different ways. They're made for this reason. So you could take a certain smoke a certain sativa and you'd be productive, or maybe take an indica and fall asleep. Or what have you, it was made that way for a reason. And like I said, the hemp part of it, hemp can be used for so many things. We can make buildings out of hemp that will last, 50 times longer than our concrete today. We can make clothing that is so much more durable and much better. And another thing that I've realized is we should be making our gauze out of hemp for wounds, because when you have that cotton, it just sits there. The bacteria sits there on your skin with that gauze, but the hemp will soak it up and remove it from the body. Just an interesting fact.
Yeah, that's, I tend to do a lot of medical research, and that's something I've not heard of. Do you know is that done in more like open cultures?
It should be. It's not done anywhere at all. It's what it was used to be. What they used to do. They used to use hemp for the gauze. And the wounds.
That'd be good
like
for
everything,
that.
all clothing, like most clothing, was made out of hemp. And so, like when they'd wrap a wound, they'd have to use the hemp clothing, or the hemp gauzes as well. And there's soaps, there's medicines, the CBD tinctures, the amazing things that my friends, the Stanley brothers, are doing with pediatric medical marijuana. With things like Dravet syndrome and cancer and epilepsy and vaccine injured children. They're seeing remarkable results in vaccine injured children, which is something that I'll be making a video on here soon. In the next month, I'll be doing an interview with my friends, the Stanley brothers. They were on American Weed on the National Geographic Channel here a couple years ago.
Yeah, you brought up the whole vaccination. I'm very vocal about being not a fan of vaccinations, and that's due to my profession as an industrial hygienist. And that brings in the whole big pharma thing once again. We always seem to circle back to that, and that's in following the money, and many activists and especially veterans are very pro legalization, even if it's not legal, just having it more accepting and for VA care for this to be utilized. I know.
Yes, it should be.
Yeah, I believe we had a mutual friend who is a daily avid smoker to control some issues personally, and I sought care in VA housing, and I believe they had to stop, smoking the marijuana just because it was on federal grounds, and instead was offered psychotropic drugs. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy the things that I've seen in my profession as far as you have the medical research, you see other countries utilizing cannabis for different treatments and lack of side effects. Because if you look at the medications that are handed out, you take medications to counteract what the original medication has done to you. Right.
And it has been shown to do that. In PTSD, I have another friend, another activist named Wayward Bill, and I believe he uses it for PTSD, or at least he's a veteran and very vocal about cannabis for PTSD. And I know from personal, I'm not a veteran, but I have my own PTSD from personal past history of things. I use that. I use cannabis for that, and it helps greatly. I used to have night terrors and smoke a joint before I go to bed, and I don't have night terrors, And
that's great. It's just so unfortunate that for those people who are kind of ignorant on the topic, just assume, that you're an unproductive hippie and not realizing that some of the medications they may be taking for the same symptoms just because it's written on a prescription pad and it's covered by insurance is somehow better.
I originally started using marijuana recreationally as a kid. But as a kid, when I was 13, I had back surgery. I had a back injury. And I started smoking at 18. That's when I first started smoking cannabis. And I started realizing I wasn't having the back spasms anymore. I wasn't having back problems, back hurting as much anymore. And today, I barely have any back problems at all. Every once in a while I'll have a sore back, but that's about it.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, we got a break coming up. So when we come back, I'd like to hear some thoughts on your opinion on what's going on with Bradley Manning.
Nationwide and worldwide on the internet, on the Rinse Radio Network.
Are you prepared for the future? Do you know how to navigate past the upcoming dangers before it's too late and seize budding opportunities before others do? Forecasting worldwide since 1980, Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, provides timely and accurate trend forecasts that have earned him the reputation as the most trusted name in trends. The proof is in the hundreds of accurate forecasts Celente has made over the past 30 years. The 1987 stock market crash, the clean food trend, the dot-com bust. The Trends Journal alerts subscribers to early, subtle signs of crucial trends that will shape our future. It allows readers to anticipate change, recognize the implications, and take proactive strategies. Put your money where your mind is with Gerald Celente's brilliant and indispensable Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com or call 845-331-3500. That's 845-331-3500.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
I just want to start dancing whenever we come back from break. All right, so if you just tuned in, I am Kristen Megan, guest hosting on Mondays for the rest of this month. With us today, I have Chris Custer, Colorado activist, also affiliated with We Are Change Colorado. Right before our last break, we were discussing the stigma around marijuana use, and Chris was telling us his personal story about how he has overcome some of the ailments from the use of cannabis. One thing I did want to ask Chris about, just because from an activist to another, we had an offline discussion about whistleblowers and how there's a fear out there for whistleblowers to come forward. I know that when I first became a whistleblower leaving the Air Force, people who aren't going through it fail to realize what happens behind. In addition to the threats to the demonization or people trying to block you from ever getting a job or whatever, just discrediting you in general. You also have the people who first start to support you and then all of a sudden turn on you because you're not like doing 5,000 media requests and you're not talking about it every single day as if this is supposed to be your one thing. I know for me, I work full time. I'm in school. I do a lot of things like this, a hobby of mine. So, there's so much stress involved with being a whistleblower or even thinking about coming forward. in addition to the legal scrutiny that you also might be facing. So I know I've been reading up on the Bradley Manning story. What are your thoughts on his ability to have a fair trial?
Is he having a fair trial? I mean, he's only getting to hear the judge, right? That's all he got. That's all he has is a judge.
Right. And unless something has changed, I read an article that the public was not going to be able to read the notes from the actual proceedings by the stenographer. So that kind of makes me a bit nervous. But
yeah, that doesn't sound fair to me.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a trial that I would be able to have.
Yes, because we all trust, the justice system, especially when it has to do with the military, right?
All right. Oh yeah, the military.
So I'm sure you're reading the same things that I have been reading about, whether it's Manning or as recently Snowden. You have the people who just say, oh, these are our heroes. And then you have people saying, oh, they're treasonous, off with their heads, basically. What are your thoughts on how the public, which I believe is driven by the media, all of a sudden feels like these whistleblowers have somehow made them less safe from our all-protective government?
Here's the thing. Media is owned by the government. Not all media. Us, you, and I, the alternative media, we're not owned by anybody. I do not get paid to write articles. Those are written by my, on my own time. I don't get paid to sit on Facebook and talk about the government. I don't get paid to do any of my activism ever. I've never ever been paid for my activism. And if you are getting paid for your activism, I don't know, like that's cool. I wish I could figure out how to do that, but I don't think I could because it's wrong. I mean, if you're doing activism, you're coming from the heart. It's from the heart. It's a passion. And the media discredits activists a lot, and especially whistleblowers like this, because that is what they're told to read. That's all that they're told to do. Like they're told they're actors. All news media are actors. All news anchors are actors. I went to broadcasting school, the Ohio Center for Broadcasting. I interned at various places. I toured various places. I talked to various media over the years. And unless you're a person like Ben Swan, who totally goes against the grain, you're not a real journalist. A person like Glenn Greenwald, he's a real journalist. Luke Radowski is a real journalist. I don't know how much more to explain it. Is the media is there to talk, do the talking points for the government. They get all their news from the same sources, AP, Reuters, and then they just re-edit it to avoid copyright infringement, and it's all the same talking points. And turn off your TV. Don't listen to them. Listen to somebody different. Listen to your heart, because that what they're saying is never true. It's only a fraction of the truth. They only talk about a fraction of what the people want to hear. It's the nice things. It's the fluff stories. It's they don't want to talk about it. This is a perfect example. March against Monsanto. There was, how many? 450 different marches all over the world. There was millions of people that marched against this one corporation that has about 80% of the ad revenue going into the media. Roundup, food, King Soopers here in Colorado, wherever you're from, it might be a different type of grocery store, Safeway, what have you, Walmart. They all sell Monsanto products, and when they talked about it, if they did in your local media, I'll read a statement from Monsanto which was the same statement. So, and they didn't, and in Denver, 9 News, for instance, they went before the march actually happened, before people gathered. People were just starting to gather. They showed about 12 people on the news, and said a small gathering of people rallied against Monsanto, and there was probably about, I'm saying about 1,500 people were there, and we marched down the 16th Street Mall, which is the main venue of Denver, Colorado. And we marched on that mall, and we educated, and we weren't, loud, and we were loud, but we weren't angry. We showed the love, and we educated people. We told them, there's a bunch of restaurants right there with open seating, patios right there, and we told them exactly what was in their fryer oil. My buddy Turtle, he was on the bullhorn, and he told people, about Monsanto, and the same people who made Agent Orange. Makes the fertilizer that grows the soybean, and they make the insect killer that they spray on that soybean.
Around
and
that,
and then they make that, they just turn that soybean into the fryer oil, which you're eating a potato, which is made by that same company, and that potato is fried in that oil that was sprayed with pesticides made by that one company, And that's how you kind of have to break it down to people sometimes. It's pretty simple. These people made Agent Orange back in the 70s and injured thousands, millions maybe of veterans, thousands of veterans with this chemical warfare, with this chemical weapon. And now they're making our food, and making the fertilizer and the insecticide and the pesticide, and everything that they put into the chemicals that they put onto these plants, that they're growing, and then we go and eat them, and these plants are, chemically, genetically engineered, and that's one of the reasons I say, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm glad that you went into the detail in which was involved in the march, because I think even more people would show up to these events if they didn't have that preconceived mindset. Oh, people are just holding signs and screaming.
It's not Occupy. That's what that's
right,
all. That's
right. It's informative.
That every time somebody protests, it's Occupy. It's not, and that's what people got to get in their heads, and that's because of the media. That the media did that too, is that they turn people against protesting by making Occupy, and some occupiers made themselves look bad, in some points, but they made protesting look horrible. They made it look like it's a bad act. You are a bad person if you protest, because, you're not following against the grain, you're not following with the crowd, and you'll get arrested. And they show violent things that happen, and some violent things were created by the police, and they don't show that or say that, and so the public doesn't understand that people are fighting for those people who hate them or dislike them because they're protesting. I'm fighting for every American out there, whether they like me or not, because I love them all.
They won't realize you're an ally until it's truly 1984. We got a break real quick. When we come back, we'll discuss the book 1984.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt, and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank. my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make seedsnow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at seedsnow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements every day, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com and now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae species found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. Bio Superfood is a strong defender in the fight against radiation exposure. Bio Superfood has zero toxicity, is safe, and has no contraindications whatsoever. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com. That's spelled BioAge.com. BioAge.com. Or you can call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNAdrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within.
Time I hear this music, reminds me of the dentist office. All right, well, we're back from break again. We're with Chris Custer, activist in Colorado. One thing we had mentioned during the break was I had read an article that the book by George Orwell in 1984 seems to be a hot item as of recent. I believe that the sales are up almost 70% on Amazon. So, I mean, what does that tell you, Chris?
That tells me that people are starting to get it, maybe, or maybe they will after they go and read it. There's a lot of references in the news to 1984. Obviously, there should be, because it's all right here. We've got Big Brother watching and listening. We've got the telescreens, the Google Glass. We've got INSOC. You know, we've got the Republicans and Democrats, which I don't want to alienate people, but it's all the same, people. It's all the same. I don't really, I'm starting to not prescribe to any party. I was leaning as a Libertarian Party member, but I don't see myself leaning towards any party anymore, you know? I think it's all a scam. It's all a big revenue scam. It's just another government scam.
And aside from it being a scam, but I mean, don't you think it's like a distraction? We spend so much time red and blue and picking a team that we don't see that they're all actually like this big pyramid, and they all are, funded by the same banks. Money goes a long way. Money can change a person. And, I agree with you. It's a scam, but I think it's a giant distraction. And that's why I personally, you could say I'm leaning libertarian, but I'm just completely independent. I do not like the labels because I feel like it restricts and divides.
Right. Yeah, and that's I was just going to say that it divides us as instead of uniting us. And we're supposed to be the United States. We're totally the divided states right now, and that's thanks to political parties, media, and major evil corporations. When I say an evil corporation, I believe in capitalism, but I don't believe in crony capitalism. I don't believe in corrupt capitalism. I don't believe in governments poisoning people, and I don't believe in companies poisoning people, and I don't think that governments and companies and corporations should work together to poison the people. I think that's morally wrong. I don't believe I'm a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person, and it's spiritually wrong for our government.
I am right there with you.
Things. Yeah, we are in a battle. There is no doubt about it. And I lean more towards the force, and come to the light side of the force. Quit trusting the dark side, because the dark side is. I mean, this last weekend they detained Chewbacca at DIA because he has a light. The guy who plays Chewbacca, Peter Mayhew, was at Denver Comic-Con last weekend, and TSA detained him for his cane, which is shaped like a lightsaber. I mean, come on, people.
Wow.
And how more corrupt can you get than detaining Chewbacca?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that. That's definitely, that one takes the cake. That's a little ridiculous. But, speaking of the TSA, I had read that there was a lot of pushback. Apparently they're allowing knives back on aircraft. And,
knives,
yeah.
But not a lightsaber. Not
right,
a lightsaber.
Right? And your 3-ounce Terrace shampoo bottle. Don't forget that. So, again, it's just ridiculous how the whole political spectrum and the media is such a distraction. It's almost like, look, squirrel, people aren't seeing these little tiny infringements that, there's times where I'm sure I drive my friends nuts where I stand up for things. I'll give you an example. Walmart by my house, me and my boyfriend will split the grocery bill, right? And if he's buying alcohol and I'm not, I'm a separate transaction, they refuse to sell to him unless I show my ID. And I say, with all due respect, I'm not going to show you my ID because I'm not purchasing alcohol, even though I'm going to be 31 years old on Thursday. But it's little things like that most people just think that you're being just against the fray and you're just trying to look cool. I mean, no, it's the little things that matter. And if you're going to be forced to show your ID when you're not even buying alcohol because someone in front of you is, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, we're allowing the government to tap into our phones. We're allowing the government to dictate what we put on social media. And again, that's why I appreciate you coming on tonight, because it's people like you who, in their own heart, in their own mind, and, even when you're not being paid, this is what you're doing to be a productive member of society, to maybe just wake up one person to say, hey, this is not going to happen. Dang it, I'm bringing my lightsaber on the plane.
Yeah, I mean, it is the little things that really get me, but it's also the huge things like the NSA tapping phones, pretty much all of them. I mean, they can. I'm thinking about a lawsuit, and I think maybe if we get enough people, that we can get some action. But I don't know. But they're tapping a conversation, say, you have a Verizon phone and I do not. I maybe have AT&T. They're still recording my conversation without any type of warrant. They still don't have a warrant for you personally, even though that in the Verizon contract, I guess it says that they can record conversations and release them to the government. Probably, in all that fine print that nobody ever reads. We sign things that
I'm
say
that person. I drive people nuts. You know, you go to the doctor, just sign here. This is a patient privacy. No, I take my 20 minutes and I read it. But I get what you're saying. It's the fine print. But what I want to add is I did read on social media. A friend of mine was able to get out of the Verizon contract and avoid the $250 penalty because of breach of contract. I guess went in and kind of made a peaceful scene amongst a bunch of customers, and he was able to get out of his contract because he said he had no privacy. So maybe I encourage
good.
a lot of people to do that.
Yeah, I do as well. I encourage you. I'm using a Verizon phone. It was a phone that was given to me. I do not have service with Verizon, though. I don't ever use any service whatsoever. I just use Wi-Fi. I just tap into my home Wi-Fi and use apps, and I'm sure they're listening to those as well. But you know, it's disgusting, is what it is. It's like in was it Batman Returns? Batman has that huge system where he's tapped into all the phones, right? To find the Joker. Well, the Joker has gotten a hold of the grid. That's the way I look at it. Because the government is the Joker. They are the ones that are just out and hurting people all over the world. I mean, why are we still at war 12 years later? You know, I never thought the war was a good idea to begin with. And the reason I voted for Obama was because he said he was going to end the wars. In fact, he said it was going to be the first thing he does. And here we are 5 years later, and we are still at war.
And also be transparent. You know, and
I guess the transparency was for us. Like we're the ones that were going to get our lives transparent to the government.
Right. And like you said about the war, I mean, the war, we don't even know what it's for anymore. I mean, I have my opinion, it's complete fraud, but why isn't the American public demanding knowing why troops are still going out? I mean, the war is a war on our freedoms. And this rhetoric that I was listening, unfortunately, to Fox News earlier on the Fox 5, and one of the roundtable hosts said, you know, I fully support giving up a little bit of our liberty for more freedom. And I thought that makes no sense. You have to give a little to get more, and how there's so many people around the world who just want to kill us because of our freedoms. And if we're so free, why did someone making a six-figure salary have to go to a country that is not free, you know, hiding out in Hong Kong? So
yeah,
it's the distraction.
He was hanging out in the People's Republic of China. I mean, he's hanging out in a communist country now, and because he's afraid of our free liberty country, right? I mean, that doesn't make sense. And because our country is not free. That's the thing. We're not free. We think we are. We get the facade of freedom with being able to go to baseball games and football games and drink large, huge sugar drinks and eat Big Macs. You know, that's really not freedom to me anymore. It used to be. I'm a big guy, and I was one of those people who thought, you know, I'm free and I can drink whatever I want, and I can do whatever I want, you know, and I had that facade of, you know, I'm free, I'm eating this Big Mac, and I'm free, I'm eating these cheese sticks and what have you, and that's not free. That's being a slave to food, and it's being a slave to gross chemicals, really. But our whole country is obviously, I'm not free to talk about the government in the ways that I did, because they sent agents, FBI agents, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They sent agents to me at my work. They had the Denver Police Department find me. That's the only reason that they had found me on that warrant. It was an old warrant, and they used the Denver Police Department to find me because they couldn't.